Hey guys, it's Brad with Arborview Properties. Thanks for checking out our video today. This is our first video we're shooting with our new camera. I decided it was, I'm sure you probably watched some of my other videos. I've just been doing them with my iPhone, and I figured it was time to upgrade my camera, make the video quality a little bit better. Got a nice little fancy microphone, so I hope the video quality and the sound quality is a little bit better than it was before. Just figured we should upgrade this, and in case you're interested, I went with a Canon Rebel T7i. I have another Canon Rebel, an older one, but it doesn't do video. It's an old one. But figured I'd stay in the Canon family since I can still use my lens, all my Canon lenses I have. So, anyways, thanks for checking out our video. My boys were messing with my board here. So, what is this right here? So this is a house, and your house equals, that's a mailbox. And in case you're wondering, that's money coming out of the mailbox. So we've got mailbox money. Sorry, my handwriting is a little bad, but mailbox money. So how do you turn the house into this? Well, everybody knows you can sell a house and you can earn cash for it real fast, right? That's pretty simple. Everybody knows that. But did you know that your house can start putting money in your mailbox every single month? There's a few different ways that your house can do that. So the first way that everybody kind of knows is a rental, right? The second way that everyone knows is, well, this not everyone knows it, but this is sort of a hybrid. We're going to go over here and we're going to do seller financing. Okay. All right. So seller financing. And then in the middle, we have what's called a lease purchase, or a lease option. I'm going to call it purchase here. All right, so just going to do some quick explanation of these different scenarios here. So everybody knows rental, right? You can rent your house out. Everybody's kind of scared of that, right? Maybe I don't want to be a landlord. I heard my cousin's brother's friend's ex-roommate had a renter and they ruined his house and blah, blah, blah. And you know what? To an extent, they're right. A bad tenant can really ruin your day and can really mess up the house, right? That happens. But it's important that up front, before you rent to those people, you screen them. I highly recommend going through, there's a lot of companies out there, a lot of property management companies and etc. that will do background checks and screen your tenants. They'll call not the last landlord, but the landlord before that, because the last landlord just wants them out if they're bad, right? So they're going to tell you whatever you want to hear to get them out of their house. But if you call 2 landlords ago, that tenant hasn't been their problem in a long time. So it's better to call them for references. Obviously, you want to check their credit, make sure they don't have any like bankruptcies, evictions. Not to say that bankruptcy is bad, but you definitely want to check their credit. Maybe they have a history of not paying other things, so you want to understand whether they have a propensity to pay rent. None of those are an end-all be-all, right? They're going to either pay rent or they're not, and things happen in people's lives. But you'll see the habitual people that can't manage their money right and may not pay you rent. There's also the people that may trash the house, and you're gonna figure that out from previous landlords. Okay, how clean were they were? Maybe you drive by their current place of rent and see how clean it is. You just never know. So, but rentals are a great way to make income off of your property every single month. So another thing that rentals can do from a tax perspective, you get this thing called, you get to claim what's called depreciation. And you can actually depreciate the value of that house over time. Definitely check with your CPA, your accountant about that, and ask them about the depreciation. But there's huge tax advantages to having rental properties and owning rental properties from a depreciation standpoint, and then just being a long-term capital gains rate. It's lower, it's more passive income, so it's taxed differently than active income. Like if you went to work and you got a paycheck, you got a W-2 job. Or for instance, what I do, I also flip houses. When I flip houses, my flipping business, I have a separate entity for rentals than I do for flipping because they're taxed differently. But for my flipping business, my tax rate is significantly higher. It's really taxed at the ordinary income rate, just like you pay on ordinary income. But on rentals, your tax rate is typically a lot lower. So check with your CPA about that. But rentals can be a great way to generate mailbox money off of your house. But again, some people maybe not want to mess with it, right? You may only have one property. You may be moving out of town. You just don't want to mess with it, right? I totally get that. Renting a house is not for everybody. And you should definitely figure out if you think it's going to be worth it to you. But it is a great way for that house to generate income. We're going to jump over here to the middle here. This is what's called a lease option or a lease purchase. Check with your state laws. I know in some states this is actually, you can't do these. I think it's like in Texas, you can't do a lease option. Where what's funny is in Texas, there's a lot more seller financing than there is lease options. But basically, the way the lease purchase works is it's sort of a hybrid between selling the house and having a rental. So what happens is you find someone who wants to do a rent to own. This is not really called a rent to own because you're not applying their rent towards purchasing the house. What happens is you agree upon a purchase price, and let's say you do let's call it a 24-month option period, 2 years option period. What that means is today you and that person negotiate and say, all right, I will sell you the house for $100,000 anytime in the next 2 years. So anytime within the next 2 years, that tenant can exercise their option and they can buy that house for the amount that you agreed upon back in the past, or well, in this case, we're talking about it today. So they can buy it from you there. Maybe this is somebody who's trying to fix some things on their credit, or maybe they're trying to build credit. For instance, like for me, right, I had a W-2 job for many, many years. I worked in corporate America. I made great income. I had good stuff, but now I'm self-employed, and it's difficult for me to go get financing like I used to be able to do because I don't have a steady paycheck. I make significantly more money than I made in corporate America, but because I don't have a steady paycheck, and I expense a lot of things through the business and I run the business, they need to see how well the business is doing. So they're going to ask me for how well my business is doing. And a lot of people are in that same boat. There's also a lot of people out there who basically live through their business and they write everything off and they earn very, very little money on paper. And probably maybe they might be cheating the IRS a little bit. I'm not going to get into that, but those people, right, maybe not have a lot of income, but they do have steady income from their business, and they might not be able to get credit to buy a house, but they have great income and they have lots of cash, and they can put cash down as a down payment, that sort of thing. So they also apply well on the seller financing piece. But from the lease option piece, you can get what's called, for granting them that option price, you can get what's called an option consideration payment. It's kind of like a down payment, but it's not a down payment. It's a non-refundable option consideration. And basically what that means is, let's say you're going to buy it for $100,000. You say, hey, you give me $5,000 for the granting of that option. So ultimately that buyer ends up paying $105,000 for the house, but the purchase price is actually $100,000. And that $5,000 is for you, the seller, to keep. You keep it, it's non-refundable, they never get it back. But that's the what's called valuable consideration of granting that option to buy the house. So, oops, dropped my marker there. And basically, then in the interim, they lease the property from you, and they'll lease it at market rates. And one sort of benefit of the lease option, lease purchase methodology is a lot of times you can actually have the tenant handle basic maintenance and repairs to the house. Now, there's questionable about, you want to consult with an attorney about like major capital expenses like replacing an HVAC unit or replacing a roof or major repairs to the house. But general upkeep, general maintenance, you can sort of pass that on to the tenant because they're ultimately going to buy the house. And they also have intrinsic ownership. They feel like they own the property, so they're more likely to take care of the house versus a regular tenant who's just going to rent it and they're going to move out and whatever, and they don't care about it. It's not their house. So that's a benefit of that. Now, we'll jump over here to seller financing. So this is a cool strategy here. We do it sometimes with some of the properties that we sell. We sell them on seller financing. And the benefit you get of that is you're selling the property. In the state of Georgia, the deed transfers to the new buyer, and you get what's called a security deed and a promissory note on the house. Check out my other videos about seller financing, but essentially you get sort of some of the benefits of the rental over here, but you don't have to deal with the maintenance and the tenants and the termites and the toilets and all that stuff, right? Because all you do is you have a note on it, and you'll get monthly checks in the bank with principal and interest payments to pay off that note. Now, ultimately, one day they will pay you off, and you won't get that income anymore. But, you know, the benefit is you're not having to deal with the headache of dealing with tenants. So you can sort of weigh your options there and figure out what you think is the best option. With the rental, we'll jump back to this. That's basically perpetual over time. You know, obviously the house is going to need some maintenance and capital expenses over time, but ultimately you just keep getting money every month, and your tenant, if you have a mortgage on your house, your tenant's actually paying your mortgage payment and paying your mortgage down for you. And then you're getting a little bit of extra money every month, or maybe you have your house paid off and you get to pocket all that money. You should set aside some money for maintenance and repairs and capital expenses, replacing a roof, fixing HVAC, fixing things over time. Because if you don't do that, then the property is going to deteriorate and you're going to become a slumlord, and eventually that property is going to be worth significantly less. But if you maintain that property over time, in general, real estate appreciates in value. So that property, let's say in 10 years, might be worth $150,000 as opposed to $100,000. So when you go to sell it, you sort of get a payday at that point. Or you can even leverage it, and you could actually take out a line of credit, or you could refinance the house and pull that equity out, and talk to your CPA about that. But that is not a taxable event because you're not selling it, you're just borrowing equity. And you could take that down payment that you get, let's say you got $50,000 in equity, you could go buy 2 properties, you know, go get 2 mortgages and put $25,000 down on each one, and buy 2 houses, and now you have 3 properties generating income for you. So great strategy there. At Arborview Properties, we actually we'll do a lease purchase from you. So if you don't want to deal with the headache of going through that, we will do a lease purchase from you. And basically the way we make it a little bit is we make a little bit of money in the middle. So ask us about that. We can tell you more about it. And then on the seller financing too, check out my other video, but we definitely do other things on seller financing, where we could buy the property from you under seller financing, and we could pay you the principal and interest payments rather than us paying a bank, where we might, for instance, if we have a long-term rental property, we typically like to refinance those and have them on a long-term mortgage because of some of the tax benefits of writing off that interest and blah, blah, blah. So you could be the bank, right? Instead of us going to a bank and getting a loan, what if we just pay you every month? If you don't need the cash today, maybe you could take it over time and make some money. So I hope this makes sense. We'll do 3 different videos kind of really breaking into depth each one. So definitely, I appreciate you checking out our videos, and we hope you guys have a great day. Hope this was informational. And if you do have a house you need to sell, click on the web form link below. You can fill out the form on our website, or you can call us at 770-810-5715. Thanks for checking us out, guys. Have a great day.